Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our week 3 online meeting. Now, sorry we couldn't be here with everybody last week. I was in a meeting all day last week. So I see that we have some people is already here. Crystal is here. Andrew is here. Victoria is here. So you guys will be getting, Thao is also here. Okay, good. All right, so let's get started. Now, guys, if you have any questions during the meeting, just post it in the text box you see, and then I'll answer them in the live meeting. Okay, so now let's start going over the PowerPoint for this week. So for this week, we covered chapters 3 and chapter 4. Now those two are very, for some reason, those are very difficult chapters. Chapter 3 quiz, and some of you have taken so far, and you probably noticed that chapter 3 quiz is very difficult. It's not by intention. For I don't know why the question bank just happened to be very difficult for chapter 3 quiz. So if you guys have any question over the chapter 3 quiz, and like there's a certain question on there, you want me to go over it, let me know. I mean, again, put in the text box, and then we can go over them live on this weekly meeting. Okay, now let's talk about chapter 3 PowerPoint first. So let me open my chapter 3 PowerPoint. And guys, remember to say hi in the text box to get your credit for this week. Okay. All right. So let me do a screen sharing, so I wouldn't be just talking to myself again. Full screen, start sharing. All right, here we go. Okay, so chapter 3. Chapter 3 is on this topic of interdependence and gain from trade. And then remember, every country when they trade, so this go back to your chapter 1. So every country when they trade, they will all gain from trade. And in chapter 3, going to show you how exactly does everybody gain from trade. Let me see. All right, so we have this example over here. So US and Japan, and then they do produce two goods, computers and wheat, and then you have one shared resource, labor. And then let's look at US first. So for US, we have this production possibility, and then we have total of 50,000 labor hours per month, and then to produce one computer requires 100 labor hour, and to produce 1 ton of wheat require 10 labor hour. Guys, if you want, what just happened? There we go. Okay, guys, if you want, you can. Some kind of one. All right, so if you want, you can open your notebook with you, and then we can work on this together as we go over the PowerPoint. So first, let's draw the PPF for this country. So to do the PPF, I'm going to use my OneNote app over here. OneNote. And give me a new page. So annoying. No. All right. So let's draw the Why I don't want to? Don't ask me again. Let me close it one more time. All right. So let's draw the PPF for US. Let's put computers on the vertical axis, and then wheat on the horizontal axis. Now, for each point, we're just going to put the maximum points on. You are so annoying. Connecting to a device. No, I don't want to assign. Jesus. Okay, so computers and maximum. Hopefully that's the last time it pop up. A maximum we can produce. There will be 500 computers. Now, how do you get this? Oh my God. Fine. Do I have a? What's my Microsoft account? Here, guys, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can make this go away. Okay. No. All right, let's just keep closing it. Okay, so to find the 500 computers, we're gonna use our maximum number of labor hour, which is 50,000 labor hour, and then divided by 100 hour. Oh my God! For computers, there will be 500 computer. Okay, so 500 over here, and then on the wheat production. Let me try this, my old email. Hopefully this will work. It doesn't work. Microsoft, you are starting to piss me off. All right, I think it just went away. All right, cross our fingers. Hopefully they wouldn't pop up again. Okay. Hi Sheila, how are you? All right. No. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. Let me try this. Let me see if I can move to the side. Oh, can't even do that. Today is not a good day, guys. Let's continue again. So 50,000 labor hour divided by 10 hour each. That will be 5,000 hours or 5,000 wheat. Okay, so 5,000 over here. Let's call 5. Guys, I'm gonna stop doing this OneNote now because it's really annoying. You keep asking me for password username every 10 seconds. Hopefully I'll fix this by next week. Okay, but let's just go over the PowerPoint then. Okay, so to draw the PPF, you're gonna have something looks like this. Okay, so we have our computers, which is 500 computers, and then we have our wheat, which is 5,000 wheat. And again, to get this, use your 50,000 labor hours divided by 100 hour each to get your 500 computers, and 5,000 wheat. That will be your 50,000 labor hour divided by 10 hour each. That will be the 5,000 wheat. And then let's assume that for US over here, before we trade for US, we're going to be self-sufficient. So we're going to do half and half. So half resource produce computers and a half resource produce wheat. So if that's the case, we're going to have, this is about 2,500 computers, wheat, and 250 computers. That's what we have. And then next we're going to do Japan. So Japan, same thing. So for Japan, they're going to have a maximum 30,000 labor hour. And then to produce one computer requires 125 labor hour. Produce one wheat requires 25 labor hour. And then with these informations, let's find out how much the maximum is. So for Japan, their maximum production for computers will be 30,000 divided by 125. This should be what, 2,400, 2,200. Let me use my iPhone as a calculator. My calculadora. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I do speak Spanish. I took 3 years Spanish in high school. And right now, I remember how to say 1 to 10, know how to say paper, papad, how to say calculator, calculadora. All right, that's all I know. All right, so it is 240. And then next for wheat, this will be 30,000 divided by 25. So this would be 30,000 divided by 25, 1,200. All right, so that's the maximum number we have. And then for the PPF, now for the PPF over here, we're just going to label the maximum. So for wheat is 1,200, and then for computer is 240. So this is Japan's PPF. And let's suppose for Japan, they will also do half and half. So before they trade with US, they will also do half and half. And for this half and half, they're going to do 600 for wheat. And then it's a little off over here, but 120, that's not a straight line. Okay, so 120 for computer. That's, oh, there we go. We have next slide. So 120 for computer, 600 for wheat, and this will be Japan's consumption and Japan's production. Now that's what you have right now. And then next, let's say we allow each country to produce maybe just one good or most of one good, and then start trading with each other. We're just going to pick some random numbers. So let's just suppose that for US, let me go back to US. So for US, we're going to allow US to produce and consume. So US will make, let's say, 3,400 tons of wheat and 160 computers. So 3,400 tons of wheat, 160 computers. That's about somewhere over here. Okay, that's how much US is gonna make. And then for Japan, we're gonna say Japan will only make computers and nothing else. So for Japan, it will make a maximum of 240 computers. Move it up a little bit. All right, so this will be 240 computers, and that's all Japan's gonna make. And then once they make that, they're gonna trade with each other. So for Japan, they will send to US 110 computer, and then for US, where's the production point? So for US, we're gonna send 700 tons of wheat to Japan. Now, once that happens, for our US production, we produce 3,400 tons of wheat. We export 700. Then we have about 2,700 left over. So if that's the case, we're going to consume 2,700 tons of wheat. So they'll be just right here above the 2,500. Oh, 2,700. And then next, for computers, we produce 160 computers. Japan, we said what, 110? So Japan is sending 110 to US. So for US, we're going to have a total number of 270 computers. That's 160 plus 110. So we're going to consume 2,700 tons of wheat and also 270 computers. Now, if you draw that point on our PPF, it's this point over here. Now, this point is outside of our PPF. Now, if you remember from chapter 2, that for any points outside the PPF, we call them impossible. But now with trade, US, we're able to consume more than we could do before. So for US, we are benefiting from trade because we can buy more stuff from before now. So US is better off. And let's look at Japan. Now for Japan, they will send 110 computer to US and they produce 240, which means they will have about 130 computer left over. At the same time, they're receiving 700 tons of wheat from US. That means they will have 130 computers. So somewhere over here, that's 130. 700 tons of wheat over here, 700. Let's find that point. So their point for consumption is also outside of our PPF here. So which means Japan, just like US, is also better off. So that's why how we say that trade is better for everybody. Because when both countries can specialize and then trade, then both countries are both better off. Okay? All right. Guys, again, if you have any questions, just ask away. All right, let's definitions. So import, export. So export the good produced domestically, sold overseas, and then import a good produced overseas but sold domestically. Okay, so those are very common definitions. One thing that you guys might want to know, that one of the biggest export of Canada is a guy named Justin Bieber. All right, so that's also export. Let's skip this. Okay, so some definitions. So something called an absolute advantage and a comparative advantage. So absolute advantage is the ability to produce good using fewer resource. That's your absolute advantage. So if you remember between US and Japan, for US to produce 1 ton of wheat, use 10 labor hour. For Japan, use 25 labor hour. So it's a US will have the comparative advantage in production for wheat. And then if you remember for computers, for US was 100 hour for computers. And then for Japan was 125 hours. So again, US use fewer resource. So we say US has the absolute advantage in production for computers. And remember, for absolute advantage, it's possible to have one country with two absolute advantage, and that's the case over here. So US is both good in computers and US is good in wheat. Now, next is a little more challenging. It's something called a comparative advantage. So comparative advantage is the ability to produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than the other producer. This is called a comparative advantage. Now, to see the opportunity cost, you just need to do the four prices. So let me see. I already need my OneNote. Try one more time. Hopefully it goes away. Please don't ask me again. All right, I think so far so good. Okay, so something from chapter 2. Now the book didn't show you exactly how to do this one, but I can show you how I do it, and I call this the four prices. So every time you're dealing with comparative advantage, it's a good idea to set up the four prices. Now, when I mean four prices, I mean there is the opportunity cost of each good in each country. So we have two good in two countries. So first we have the price of computers in US, price of wheat in US, price of computers in Japan, price of wheat in Japan. Now, when you're doing the four prices over here, it's a very simple setup. We're going to be using fractions. Now, for this fraction, whatever good you're looking for, the maximum price goes on the bottom of the fraction. The maximum quantity goes on the bottom of the fraction. So for this problem here for US, at maximum, we can produce 500 computers. So 500 goes on the bottom. And maximum can produce 5,000 tons of wheat. Again, guys, those numbers come from over here. So 5,000 tons of wheat and 500 computers. And then simplified, this will be 10 wheat. That means in US, to produce every one computer, it will cost you 10 wheat. And then for the wheat, I'm going to do same calculation. So looking for wheat. So wheat goes on the bottom. So 5,000 wheat. And then computer goes on top. So 500 computers. So simplify, this will be 1/10 computer. Okay, so in America, produce 1 ton of wheat, costs you 1/10 computers. And then let's look at Japan. So Japan maximum is 1,200 wheat, 240 computers. So the price of computers, 240 on the bottom. 1,200 goes on top. Wheat. If you're Stewie from Family Guy, wheat. This would be 5 wheat. And then price for wheat will be 1,200 goes on the bottom. 240 goes on top. This will be 1/5 computer. All right, so this is the four prices, and this is also the opportunity cost of each good in each country. To find your comparative advantage, so comparative advantage by definition is whoever have the lowest opportunity cost or lower opportunity cost, that is your comparative advantage. So let's compare the prices between two countries over here. So for the good of computer, so computers over here, between US and Japan, which country have a lower opportunity cost? For US, it costs you 10 wheat. For Japan, costs you 5 wheat. So this, for Japan, it's a lower opportunity cost. So we say Japan have the comparative advantage in production for computers. And then for wheat, same thing, we compare to see which country have a lower price in wheat. So in America, it's 1/10 computers. In Japan, it's 1/5 computers. So this is a lower number. So we say US has the comparative advantage in production for wheat. And then for comparative advantage, it's always one country, one comparative advantage. So in this case over here, US is good in wheat. Japan is good in computers. Guys, my wife is calling me. I think I should answer. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Hello? I'll call you back, okay? All right. All right. Wow, that was recorded and now it's live on YouTube. All right, let's continue. So this comparative advantage. Now, does anybody have any question this time? Oh, Adriana, how are you? Does anybody have any questions at this time? No questions. All right, guys, if no questions, let's continue. I think that's it for chapter 3. Yeah, that's it for chapter 3. And then next, let's look at chapter 4. And then, guys, again, if you have any questions on your chapter 3 quiz, let me know, and then we can look at it. We can look at it together as a class. Okay. All right. So chapter 4. Chapter 4 is on the information between your supply demand. Now, chapter 4 is probably one of the most important chapter in the book. So make sure you get this chapter 4, because if you are confused about chapter 4, you will be lost for the rest of the semester. Okay, so I don't want that to happen to you, so ask questions away. Okay, all right, so chapter 4. Now, before we get started, let me ask everybody a question. Does anybody have any preference over your toilet paper? Like, you have a preference, you have certain brand or a certain texture that you have to have. You cannot use anything else. Okay, I know it's kind of private information, but I have a preference. I have certain brand I want to use, but does everybody have any preference over the brand of the white printer paper? Oh, Androsoft. Okay. No, I don't think so, right? Because really, guys, if you think about it, if you're gonna buy your paper for the printer, do you know which brand you want to buy? No, I mean, but trust me, there are different brands. But isn't it amazing that we don't care about the paper we read on, but we care about the paper we wipe our ass with and throw away? Any idea why that is? So the reason why is that the toilet papers, there are different textures. Your white printer paper, they're all the same. That's why we don't care about it. And then we're going to touch this on the very first concept you're going to learn about market, or the different type of market. So the first one you're going to learn is called the perfectly competitive market. Now, later on, when you go to chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, you're going to learn the 4 different type of market structure. But this is the first one. So it's called perfectly competitive market. And then for the white printer paper, the reason why we don't care, because they're all the same. So when you buy the paper, the only difference it makes is that whichever is cheaper, that's what we buy. So that is called the perfectly competitive market. So in this perfectly competitive market, they're all good. Well, doesn't matter who you buy from, doesn't matter which company make it, they're all the same. So all good are exactly the same. So your white printer papers, your banana from different companies. But do you guys know that there are different brand of bananas out there? I didn't know this until very recently. So apparently there's the Dole banana, there's the Chiquita banana. It's a different brand of banana. But it doesn't matter who you buy from, banana is a banana, right? It's all the same. So therefore, all good are exactly the same, and that's called a perfectly competitive market. And in this market, you can have many buyers, many sellers, and then everybody, we call them a price taker. Price taker means that you have no influence over the market price. So when you're a company selling your good, you have to take what the price is already set for you. So giving let's say that you want to sell your printer papers. Now everybody else sell there for $2 per pack, and if you sell yours for $3 per pack, nobody will buy from you. So that's why we call everybody in this business, you're all price taker. You only take what the price is already available. You cannot set your own price. Okay, and then let's talk about demand. So demand has something called a quantity demanded and a law of demand. So simple definitions and very simple concept. Law of demand, it just says that for everything we do, for everything you buy, holding everything else constant. So in Greek or in Latin, this is called ceteris paribus. So ceteris paribus, everything else is all the same, nothing else changed. And then the only thing change is the price. So when the price change, consumers, we're going to buy less. When the price goes up, we buy less. It's getting more expensive, we do buy less of this good. And then when the price goes down, we buy more. Very simple, right? So everything getting more expensive, you buy less. Everything getting cheaper, we do buy more. So that is your law of demand. And then from law of demand, you also going to have this demand schedule. So demand schedule just shows you the relationship between the price of the good and then quantity demanded of the good. So for this example over here, when the price is $0, the demanded is 16 units. So consumers want to buy 16 units of latte. And then when the price goes up, so $1, your demand quantity demanded goes down to 14. So there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So when quantity demanded is, well, when price is going up, quantity demanded is going down. So they're going different directions, okay? And then from this demand schedule, we can draw our demand curve. So demand curve is a two-dimensional curve, so x and y's. And remember, your demand curve, the price is always on the horizontal axis, and then quantity is always on the vertical axis. So always price on the horizontal, so price on the vertical, and then quantity on the horizontal. Okay. Let's see what else need to talk about for demand. All right, so there are 5 factors that can fundamentally change our demand. Now, the first one is called number of buyers. So for number buyers, every time your number buyer is increasing, so you have more number buyers, then demand will be increased. And then anytime if your number buyer is decreasing, then the demand will be decreased. And then to show this decrease of demand, we're going to mess with our demand curve. So to show an increase of demand, if you shift your demand curve to the right, this will be called an increasing of demand. And then if you shift the demand curve to the left, this will be called a decreasing of demand. Okay, so remember, if it goes to the right, it's an increasing. If it goes to the left, it's decreasing. I know that you want to think about it as up and downs, like, if it's going up, it must be increasing. If it's going down, it's decreasing. Don't think about this as up and downs. Think about this as left and right. When I was in high school, in my senior year, I had a speech class, and then the teacher was a very cool lady, Hispanic lady, and we talk about all kind of stuff in class. But there are stuff you shouldn't talk about in class, and one of them is sex. So my teacher back then, she never called it sex. So every time we talk about sex, she called it up and down. Okay, so no up and down, only left and right. So increasing to the right, decreasing to the left. And then, guys, let me show you a little exercise you can do at home or in your other classes that can reinforce this concept. Let me stop my screen sharing. Stop. All right. So, guys, I want you to do this with me. So take your hand out. So make a fist like this, and then make sure your palm is facing you. Okay. So first, take out your right thumb, left pinky. So this is to my right. So this is to the right, and then put it back. And then next, take out your left thumb and right pinky. So this is to the left. Okay. So one more time. If it's increasing, we're shifting to the right. If it's decreasing, we're shifting to the left. Okay. So increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. So give it a try. Okay, you get it eventually. All right. Now let's go back to our PowerPoint. Yeah. All right. So if it's increasing, you're shifting to the right. If it's decreasing, you're shifting to the right. So that's the first demand factor. A factor will change our demand. And then the second one is going to be income. So anytime if our consumer income change, this will also change the level of demand in the marketplace. But this income will depends on different good you're talking about. If you're talking about normal good, so normal good, when income increase, demand will increase. But if you're talking about inferior good, that's opposite. So for inferior good, when income increase, demand will decrease. So if you guys can think about it, is there anything you buy or you consume right now that's an inferior good, which means when income goes higher, you wouldn't buy this good anymore? One thing in my head, you can think about this as ramen noodle. So for ramens, when income goes up, we don't buy ramen anymore. But as students right now, we guys are pretty poor. So with very little income, then you eat a lot of ramens. So that's inferior good. Okay. All right. And then next, the price of related good also have an impact on your demand level. So now we can talk about this as a comparison between iPhone and Galaxies. People are calling me. See, nobody ever called me during my normal hours, but anytime when I'm doing my live meetings, people always call me. Guess they can call me back later. So we can talk about this as an example between iPhone and Galaxy. Does anybody have an iPhone and a Galaxy? Not really, right? You don't see many people carrying two phones and one being Galaxy, one being iPhone, unless the company pay for one. So the reason why is that between iPhone and Galaxy, there are substitute good. The one consumer buy one, we don't buy the other one. So in those cases, that when the price of one good change, let's say the price of Galaxy change, so Galaxy become more expensive. And according to law of demand, when Galaxy become more expensive, we're going to buy less Galaxy. And because Galaxy and iPhone, they're substitute good, we're buying less Galaxy, then we're going to buy more iPhone. But for iPhone itself, nothing changed. The only thing changed was the price of Galaxy. So this is the effect of substitute good. So when the price of one increase, so when the price of iPhone increase, then the demand, when the price of Galaxy increase, then the demand for iPhone will be increased as well. Okay, so that's substitute good. And then we'll have complements. So complement just means we buy them together. Now you can think this like now suppose that for shoes, instead of selling them in pair, we're selling them separately. So shoe for the left foot, shoe for the right foot. So those will be complement good because we always buy them together. So when the price for one increase, the demand for the other one will decrease in this case. Okay. All right. So that's complements. The next, taste. For taste, consumer taste always have an effect on the demand level. Let me give you an example. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me show you guys something. Then let me show you. There is a brand of bread. You guys probably heard it before. It's called Miss Beard. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. So Miss Beard's bread. Image. All right, this stuff over here. You guys all seen it before, right, in the store. So this company is one of the largest company of bread in America. And then in 2001, something happened. 2001, the company's sales decreased by 30%. And then company was freaking out. They were thinking, man, what the hell just happened? How come our sales is decreasing by 30%? We didn't do anything different. We're still selling the same bread. We're still, charging the same price, but our demand, our sales decreased by 30%. And the reason why was that back in early 2000s, there was a very popular diet program sweeping America. It's called the Akin diet. You guys probably heard it before too. So for the Akin diet, it says that you can eat whatever you want. So all the steak, all the meat, all the bacons, all the cheese, except you cannot do any carbs. So no bread, no rice. So because of that, everybody was doing that. The demand from his beer decreased by 30%. So that is called taste. So when consumer taste change, this will change the effect for our demand curve. Okay, all right, and then next, expectations. So consumer expectation will also have an effect on the demand level. And at any time, now this is the expectation is about the expectation for the future. So it's either the future prices or the future income. So if consumer expect that the future income is higher, then today you buy more stuff. And then vice versa, if consumer expect that the future your future price is higher, then today you buy more stuff. I don't know if anybody here who smokes cigarette. If you do, you shouldn't. Okay, try to quit. But cigarette is not cheap. I mean, if you buy a cigarette in Texas, in Houston, Texas, probably costs you what, $5, $6, $7 per pack. And if you buy a cigarette in New York City, probably costs you $11, $12 per pack. Now it's more expensive in New York, but it doesn't mean you're getting a better cigarette in New York. The reason why it's so expensive over there is because there's so much tax in it. So most of money you pay for a cigarette is all going to tax. And then even for our price over here for the $6, $7, about half of what you pay is going to tax. And then now the same with our government, our state government. Every time we increase the tax on cigarette, we always increase it on Monday morning. But the Sunday night before the price increase, you can always find a long line outside the gas stations, people buying cigarette before the tax increase. So that's expectation. If you expect the Monday morning price is higher, the Sunday night I will buy more cigarette. Okay, so that's the expectations. All right, so when this change, when your number buyer, your income, your price of other goods, your taste, your expectation, when this 5-factor change, you're gonna shift your demand curve. But if only the price change, so nothing else, if only the price of good itself change, then you move on the same demand curve. So let me show you what that looks like, okay? So if only the price change, let me go back to my demand curve. So if only the price is, let's suppose right now the price is $4. So at $4, our quantity demanded is, what is that, 12.5? So we demand 12.5. Now, when the price change from $4 to $3, then we're going to move from this point to this point over here, which is quantity of 15. So you're moving on the same demand curve, okay? So if nothing else, if only the price change, then we're moving on the same demand curve. All right, so that's demand. Right, next is supply. So supply is very similar to demand because everything switch on the other side. So first law of supply. Law of supply says that the quantity supplied, so how much company want to sell, will increase when price increase, and then vice versa when the price decrease, the quantity supplied will decrease. So everything goes back to this law of supply and then your profit for the company. So when the price goes up, that means there are more profit to be made by the company. So company have more incentive to produce more. And then vice versa, if the price goes down, then the profit goes down, then company have less incentive to make this stuff over here. So that's law of supply. And then for the supply curve, so same thing for the supply schedule, you guys can look at it on your own. The supply curve is always upward sloping. So you go from the bottom left to the top right. And this upward sloping curve also shows you the relationship between the price and quantity. Now you see the price and quantity over here on the right, that as your price is increasing, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the quantity is also increasing. So there is a positive relationship between your price and quantity. Therefore, your supply curve is upward sloping. Okay. All right. And then for the supply shifter, there are 4 of them. The first one is called input price. That's just basically your cost of production. So if your cost of production is increasing, holding price the same, then profit goes down. So cost goes up, profit goes down, and then supply goes down. And then vice versa, when cost goes down, profit goes up, then supply will increase. And then to show an increase of supply, you'll be shifting to the right. So, same thing again with your fingers, left and right. And then if it's decreasing, you're shifting to the left. So increase to the right, decreasing to the left, just like our demand curve. And then technology. So for technology, if anytime your technology change, this also affect your demand level. So when that happens, so it's suppose you have a better technology, then you can produce more cheaper. So supply increase, and then vice versa. When you lose technology, so you cannot produce as efficient as before, then your supply will decrease. Okay, that's very straightforward. And the number is seller. So just like number buyer, so when the buyer increase, demand increase. When seller increase, supply will increase. Okay, so seller increase, supply increase, and then vice versa. When seller decrease, supply will decrease. And the next one is expectation. So just like your demand, that the seller's expectation for the future also have an effect on today's supply level. You guys can think of the example of right now. That right now, with oil being so cheap, or crude oil being so cheap, many companies are reducing the level of supply of oil. That's why you see all those oil companies laying off people from left and right, because the price for oil is low. We don't need to produce much oil anymore. Therefore, the production today is lowered. So that's about expectations. All right, so when this 4-factor change, you are shifting your supply, but when only your price change, your movement on the supply curve. So just like what I showed you for the demand curve, but this is for supply curve. So when this 4-factor change, if it's increasing, you're shifting to the right. If it's decreasing, you're shifting to the left. And then for the first one over here, if it's increasing, then go from one point to the next point. That's increasing. And if it's decreasing, again, decreasing, then go from this point to this point. That will be a decreasing. Okay. All right. Let me see what else to talk about. Oh, here we go. Equilibrium. Last concept. So for topic 4, we also talk about equilibrium. So your demand is always going down, supply is always going up. That means eventually these two lines will meet, and when they meet, this point, this intersection, is called the equilibrium. And then for this equilibrium, your quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded. So at this point, our quantity demanded on the demand curve is at 15, and on the supply curve also at 15. So as price of 3, these two curves intersect, and this is called the equilibrium. And then this equilibrium, from this equilibrium, you can see how much the market price is. So this is the market price, and how much is the market quantity, or the equilibrium quantity. Okay, so equilibrium price is this $3 over here, and the equilibrium quantity is this 15 unit over here. Okay. Now, another special property, that at this equilibrium, your quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. But however, if anytime you're above equilibrium, so next slide, when you're above, so at this price level at $5, our quantity supplied is going to be 25 units. Quantity demanded is only 9 units. So quantity supplied is more than quantity demanded, then we call this one a surplus. Now, for the surplus, for this market, remember we talked about chapter 1, the invisible hand, that anytime you have a surplus, company will try to reduce the inventories left over, so eventually the price will be pushed lower. So anytime if you're above equilibrium, so from $3 to $5, you will always go back to equilibrium because of the market forces. So you go back to your $5 to your $3. Okay, and then vice versa if the price is too low. So for this question over here, our quantity demanded is going to be at 21 unit, and then quantity supplied at 5 unit. So quantity demanded is more than quantity supplied. This is called a shortage. And then when you have a shortage, eventually the price will be beat up again. Then you move back to your equilibrium price. Okay, so anytime you're away from equilibrium, eventually you always go back to equilibrium. All right, so that's a shortage and surplus. Let me see what else. Oh, this slide is very important. So change in supply is anytime you shift your supply curve, and that happens when you have a non-price determinant change. So like your technology, your cost, your expectations. So when those factor change, when those 4 factor change, the total 4 of them. So when those 4 factor change, then you change your supply. So you shift your supply curve left or right. But if only the price change, then you're moving on the same supply curve. Okay, and the same thing for demand. Remember, for demand, you have 5 factors. So when those 5 factors change, you shift your demand curve. But if only the price change, then you move on the same demand curve. Okay. All right. Let me see what else we can talk about. Oh, all right. So that's it for chapter 4. Does anybody have any questions on chapter 3 or chapter 4? Let me wait for a second. There's a lag of time difference between what I'm doing and how soon the YouTube is showing. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? No, no, Crystal, no questions. All right. Oh, Andrea. Okay, I see you there. Okay, so guys, again, remember to get your credit for this week. Make sure to say something on this chat. Otherwise, I cannot see you here. Okay, Andrea, I have some questions. So it says, I had some trouble with tables in quiz 3. Is there a formula means on figure those out? Tables on quiz 3. Let me see. Adriana, do you remember which table that is? Like what question it is? What is it asking? Is it a question? What table is it? Hi, Jonathan. Are you here? Table. Oh, do you mean tables 3-3? All right, thank you. Tables 3-3. Guys, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Okay, this question over here. All right, let me do my screen sharing. All right, so here's the question. So it says we have 2 countries, England and France, and then they each produce either cheese or wine. And then on the left table over here, to produce. All right, so on the left table over here, to make one unit of cheese, it takes 1 hour for England and 5 hours for France. And then to make 1 unit of wine, it takes 4 hours for England and then 2 hours for France. And then over here, you have how much you can produce within 40-hour limit. Okay. So let me see the question. What's the question asking for? The question is asking for. Now, Adriana, your question might be different than mine because this is all. I want to say this. This is all random questions. So let me pull out the question again. Table 3.3. Okay, I see your question. Such as the combo of cheese Spain can produce. Yeah, same concept, maybe different numbers. All right. So I'm guessing it's not this question. Let me see. Let me find your question. So there's only 5 of them, so it has to be one of this. No, it's not this one. This is for the slope. Okay, let me look at the third one. See, is this the question? Pretty. Okay, so which of following combination of cheese and wine could England not produce in 40 hours? So this is probably similar to yours. So we have this 40 and 10 over here for England, and that's what we're gonna use. Okay. So we have different combinations. Now the first thing you want to do is to do the 4 prices. Now the 4 price, like I showed you guys before. So let's do the 4 prices. Here, let's do this. Ooh. All right, so the price, we're doing England only. So England cheese, and then price England for wine. Now, so for the 4 prices, whatever you're looking for, we're gonna put the maximum number on the bottom. So maximum goes on the bottom. Then this will be cheese. We'll have 40 cheese on the bottom. And the other group goes on top. So 10 bottle wine goes on top. And then over here, this will be switched. So 10 wine, 40 cheese. All right, and then simplify this will be 1/4 bottle of wine. And then this will be 4 cheese. That means in England, to produce 1 cheese costs you 1/4 bottle of wine. In England, to produce 1 bottle of wine costs you 4 cheese. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna try each one of these combinations, see if it fit our production schedule. So first one, we said we're gonna produce 12 units of cheese and then 7 bottle of wine. So now if you look at the wine production, a maximum, we can produce 10 bottle wine. So if you're producing only 7 bottle wine, that means we're giving up the opportunity to produce 3 bottle wine. So for 3 bottle wine, and then we just find out that for every bottle of wine, it's equivalent to 4 cheese. So 3 bottle wine we're giving up, they're equivalent for 4 cheese each. So this we can get 12 cheese in return. And then that's exactly what's in the question. So the question says, go back. So the question was 12 cheese and 7 unit wine. So that's which means England can produce this combination. Now let's look at the second one. So second one says 6 unit of wine, 16 unit of cheese. So again, a maximum we can produce 10 unit of wine. So if you produce only 6 unit of wine, that means you're giving up 4 unit of wine. And then every unit is equivalent to 4 cheese. So 4 unit of wine times 4 cheese each, this will be 16 cheese. So if we produce 6 units of wine, we can also produce 16 cheeses. And that's the case. It's asking for 16 cheese. So this is also good. Now the next one, 5 units of wine and then 20 units of cheese. So if we produce 5 units of wine, then a maximum is 10. So we're giving up 5 units of wine. And then each one is 4 cheese. So this would be 20 cheese. Again, that's what the question is given to. So that's also good. The last one, I have a hunch. The last one might be the answer. So for the last one, that we produce 4 wine of cheese, four bottle of wine, and the maximum is 10. So we're giving up 6 bottle of wine. So we give up 6, and then everyone's 4 cheese. So that'd be 24 cheeses. Now this is asking for 26 cheese. So we don't have enough for 26. We can only do 24. So this combination over here, we cannot produce. So this will be the answer for the question. Okay. Oh, Victoria, don't worry, you'll be fine. Yeah, as long as you're here, as long as you're signing. All right, Adriana, I hope that answered your question. Let me see if there's another one similar to this. Can take a look at it. Yeah, guys, if any of you have any questions on the quiz, ask away, okay? Because remember, chapter 3 quiz, for some reason, is probably the most difficult quiz for the entire book. So if you guys are struggling with it, that's perfectly normal, okay? Okay, so that's easy. It just says if assume England, France has 40 hours each, and each country divides time equally between the production of cheese and wine, then how much the total production is. So this one, you just do a half and half. So equally, so 40 divided by 2, that will be 20. And then 8 divided by 2, that will be 4. And then 10 divided by 2 will be 5. 20 divided by 2, that will be 10. And then add everything together, so 24 cheese and then 15 wine. That'll be the answer. Okay. All right. So does anybody else have any questions? No? Let me wait for a couple more seconds because there's a delay in timing. Okay, so guys, if nobody has any more questions, we're gonna take a pause here and then continue next week. Okay, so guys, again, if you have any questions during this time in between, send me an email and then I will be more than happy to answer the question for you. And if you have any question about the quiz, again, take a screenshot, send it to me, and I will answer those questions as soon as possible. All right, guys, if nothing else, I will see you guys on next week meeting, and I have a good week. And also, probably sometime by tomorrow, check your D2L, your grade book, check your exam 1 grade, and in the notes section, I will put an extra credit in there for you guys. Okay, and again, guys, make sure everybody here, make sure to sign in into the chat page so I know you're here, and otherwise, you cannot get the credit for it. All right, guys, I will see everybody again next week. Have a nice week. See you later. Bye-bye. Signing out.